It is Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. This book, guys, was just special. I felt like this was everything I ever wanted the Farseer trilogy to be, and just wasn't quite there. Now, I liked Farseer, didn't love it. I love Lightship Traders, and I'm happy to say this kind of leans more into that. But once you start reading it, you're like, my God, I didn't realize how much I missed these characters from Buckkeep, from the Six Duchies. I mean, Fitz and 𝕤𝕕. And obviously Night Eyes. I mean, you're seeing these characters right away. The Fool, you're like, wow, I didn't realize how much I missed these characters. I'm going with We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle. Now, with me, this book, guys, I tell people I think you've got to be kind of in the right place for it. And I think that's because it's so grim, it's so dark, it's so hopeless and depressing and gritty and reprehensible, and I absolutely needed that in my life at the moment. It was one of those things where if you're a veteran of a Joe Abercrombie or a Mark Lawrence, I think you're going to be right at home, you're going to feel good about it. But if you've only read, you know, bright, shiny, happy, everyone goes home with a Disney ending kind of a fantasy, it might be a little too much for you. It's going to be A Fool's Hope by Mike Shackle. Back-to-back months, guys. Mike Shackle has got Book of the Month for me. That rarely happens. I think Michael J. Solomon's the only other person to ever do that for me. This series, guys, is completely underrated. I don't know how this series is not bigger on Grimdark BookTube, if that's a thing. All of my Grimdark friends that love First Law, that love Mark Lawrence, I have no idea what you're waiting for. I have no idea why it took me this long. This series is actually really, really great. And I feel like if he sticks the landing in book number 3, this is going to be one of my favorite trilogies ever. It really is that good. Is A Blood and Fire by Mr. Ryan Cahill. Now, like I said, I can't go one day without someone saying, hey, Mike, have you read these books, Ryan Cahill? Because I think they're going to be just for you. Now, that happens a lot. But I think with this series, I mean, damn near unanimous. Everyone who's read it immediately comes and tells me, you've got to read this. And I'm glad I did, because, guys, this book was really, really good. And what I say is I've seen people be like, oh, it's just a ripoff of Wheel of Time. I don't know how. Yes, it has 3 friends from a small village. It teases a chosen one. There is magic. Guys, Wheel of Time does not hold exclusivity to these things. You know, so if so, I mean, I can think of a lot of series that came before Wheel of Time that had those things in it. But yes, it does give me familiar feelings of Wheel of Time. It does make me think about the inheritance cycle. It does make me think about The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. A lot of classic fantasy is kind of wrapped in here. There's also some very modern things. It is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, guys. I really love The Darkness and Light. I really love The Giver. But guys, this is top tier stuff. This is easily one of the greatest books I have ever read. I am a character first guy, and you will be hard pressed to ever find better characters than what McMurtry writes in this book. These characters are family by the end of this book. You are absolutely crushed when things don't go right for them. You are overjoyed when things go well for them. It is just an amazing, amazing journey. It's been 4 years. I've been waiting for a new Red Rising book. Are you really shocked that this is my book of the month? What I want you to know is that expectations were met. I think that I had a certain set of expectations. There was things I wanted to see. There were character fates I wanted resolved. You got those things. I got more of the characters that I wanted. I got team-ups that I've been waiting to see for a long time. It gave me things I've been holding out hope to see since probably Golden Sun. It was a Runaway Blowout by Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey. Daniel Abraham, Ty Frank, their powers combined is James S.A. Corey. What I loved about this, guys, is this is everything that I've wanted The Expanse to be. I have gotten all the characters that I wanted in this book. I have gotten the POVs that I wanted in this book. And I've gotten the big cataclysmic, that's a tough word. You know what I mean. That really big event that really just messes up the entire solar system. That really did happen here to a point to where I think that grimdark authors got to look at this and be like, wow, balls on those guys. For the second time, Ryan Cahill, Book of the Month on this channel. Of War and Ruin is easily, guys, one of the best fantasy books I've read in a few years, without a doubt, which is amazing because it's this big. Guys, there's not a dull moment in this book. There's not a page wasted. There's nothing in this book that I would cut out, and that's incredible. And the most amazing thing about Of War and Ruin is he has a few dozen characters, and he has at least 10 to 12 different storylines going on at the same time, and yet it's perfectly balanced. You're never at a point where you're like, but I want to know what's going on with those characters. You never feel like that. You never feel like you aren't liking one of these stories. That's the thing. I could think about my least favorite plot thread in this book, and it's still better than almost every other fantasy book that I've read in the last couple years. I've got to go with Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. And the reason I'm going with Flowers for Algernon, guys, is because when you get to a classic, and sometimes you can feel like, really, this is considered a classic. Why? I'm not really understanding. Never happened with this one. I understand exactly why this one was a classic, guys, because it was beautiful. It was really well written. Never really dragged. I love the narrative style, where you get like these journal entries of this person, kind of seeing it from their perspective of going from quite simple to ridiculously over genius, back to maybe, well, you'll see. I decided to go with my best friend's Exorcism. And I think that this guy is just, I'm the target demographic. He's definitely writing. It's one of those things where, like, you don't have to be grown up in the 80s, to enjoy Stranger Things. Same with this. You don't have to have grown up in the 80s to really enjoy this. But I think if you did, it's going to hit all that much more hard. But again, outside of that, the fact that it is just just having some campy fun sometimes and having a little bit of a horror romp, I think, it gets really, really serious. And it has very serious themes and messages in this. And that is why I'm going with Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This book is very, 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 very good. I think if you loved Empire of the Vampire, you're going to really, really enjoy what he does with this one. Gabriel is still just an amazing character. And I love that relationship between the two main characters, let's put it that way. For me, it feels like it gives me everything I wanted The Witcher to be. It does still feel like what I wanted the series of Witcher to be, because he's a vampire, but it does kind of feel like that monster hunter kind of storyline that he's going with. But again, the relationship between the main two characters very much gives me what I wanted between Geralt and Ciri in that series, and I feel like you're getting it more in this series. It's really, really... It Speaks the Nightbird by Robert McCammon. Third time he has gotten Book of the Month for me. Well, this was a massively long book, guys. 800 pages, and it flew by. It's amazing what this guy is able to do with just explaining characters and how characters interact with one another in any situation. It doesn't matter the time period, the location, or what is going on. He's able to show you how characters interact with each other, and he's just one of the best at it. Like I said, gun to my head, top 5 character writers ever. I think Robert McCammon is sitting at that table, and he's got a good shot at getting in there.